I've been southbound, I've been hellbound, riding on a midnight train.
What's going on, guys? Tony and Tristan here, the Zero Duck 30 podcast. So we're super excited today. We got One Shot Outdoors on here. Before we get started, though, Tristan, what kind of deal is Huntwise doing for not only our followers, but the dads out there?
Yeah, so because it's Father's Day, they're having a 30% off to all the dads out there. They're Elite and Pro versions. Normally, the discount code we post for you guys is that 20% off Duck30 code. But this time, I'm going to post down in the comments or in the description the link to that 30% off. And you guys got to go check this app out. As far as your strategy for deer hunting, duck hunting, whatever it is, it's amazing, your GPS, and not to mention the discounts you get off of.
Huge discounts,
My
you guys.
gosh.
Huge. I just got an email yesterday from Huntwise. It's like, go enjoy these benefits. And I was like, dude, if I had money right now, my wife would be so mad because I'd be like, I had to, babe.
Yeah.
It was 50% off.
I know, right? Well, I mean, and for you duck hunters out there, they added, AVNX as one they added, and they started in deer hunting, so they got a ton of stuff for that, and we could go on for a long time about it.
We could. But God, Tristan, kick this off with us today and introduce our guest here, and we're super excited.
Yeah, so today we got Bubba Bishop on, the founder of One Shot Outdoors, and we're super excited. He's a fellow Georgia boy like we are, but I believe Bubba was born and raised in Florida, but or Georgia. But I'll let him tell more about that. Bubba, why don't you give us a little background about where you're from and your hunting life growing up and what you do and how you started One Shot Outdoors.
Yeah, what's up, guys? It's pretty simple. Yeah, like you said, Tristan, I was born and raised in South Georgia. I actually went to college. So within the last about 6 years, I went to college down in Lakeland, Florida, Central Florida, and did a little hunting there. But that's really, obviously Florida's got, some different kinds of ducks and everything. And it was kind of neat to kind of go down there and see difference in what South Georgia had compared to everything else. But yeah,
Sure.
my hunting background honestly started in high school pretty much, or maybe late middle school, but I ended up starting in just deer hunting. And I mean, funny story with that. My first ever deer hunt. I finally talked my parents into letting me go because all my friends were doing it at the time, and finally talked my parents into going. I was carrying a 243 bolt action rifle and carried all the way to the stand. But the night before, my parents told me I couldn't take any ammo with me, and so I'm going on this hunt. I have no bullets. It's my first ever hunt. They just wanted me to practice getting in the stand, down the stand, walking back and all that kind of stuff.
No.
And I get halfway around the field and I see 3 deer jump out in front of me. And I said, well, nice, Mom. Thanks. so, ever since then, it was really just a passion, just kind of jumping in and really learning where I could. My dad, he kind of deer hunted a little bit. But as far as that, elsewhere, like any kind of hunting, he didn't really do too much. He was born in South Florida, and kind of just grew up there and then came back here and just kind of worked his whole life. You know how that goes. But he did that. And then, really just my friends and kind of who I grew up around really produced me into the hunter that I am today. Waterfowl hunting and everything like that. Honestly, I wouldn't say that I started that maybe within the last 7-8 years. But like I said, for deer hunting, probably 12 good years of deer hunting. So
Awesome. So tell the truth. So down there in South Georgia, I hear the reason why they don't give you bullets because you boys just chase them down, right? So you went and grabbed that thing like a steer, twisted its head, and that's how South Georgia boys get it done.
Hey,
Especially if their name's Bubba. Come on now.
That's right. I usually, every time I introduce myself, people always say, man, anybody named Bubba's got to be a good old boy.
Your parents did you good, man.
That's right.
Heck yeah, man. We spent a lot of time in South Georgia through just duck hunting, and when we lived in Jacksonville, we had a lease in Hortense, if you know where that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lease there for a couple years, and then we deer hunted in Jacksonville, Georgia for several years too. So we that was like our second home for a long time, South Georgia.
Yeah, for sure. We loved it. It was actually Hortense was the first time Tristan and I ever shot a deer together on opening morning.
Yeah, yep.
Shoot, man.
And
I've been becoming more and more of a fan of South Georgia as I learn a lot more. So,
yeah.
But it's a challenge, man. Down here, you got hundreds of hunters. So it's just, man, a lot of competition. So it gets difficult, but obviously it's all about knowing the right spots.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt you can't get past the fact that, nature can only provide so much. And
that's right.
And you got such an acidic soil of so many pine trees and limited vegetation. I mean, it's why we're allowed to bait down there. I mean, it's
exactly. No, you're right.
It is. And, and so anyway, I can get way off topic with that, but I do like me some good old hardwoods, no doubt. But there's definitely something a little mysterious about sitting in them pines, and you
see one big deer. I promise you might not want to go nowhere else.
Yeah.
But then again, you might sit in that pines 100 times and never see a deer. So
yep, and they all become the same. We invited a good friend of Tristan's up to hunt in Hortense, and not to get too far off topic, but he came up, and was it his first time he hunted?
Hunter?
No, Devin.
Yeah, Devin.
First time he hunted, right?
Yeah.
In a tree stand.
Yep.
Yeah, so we got the lock-ons, we're up there hunting the pines, and we put him in the tree, and he gets back, and I said, "Hey, Devin," I said, "What'd you think?" He said, "Bro, number one," he goes, "I never sat in a tree stand like that before." Yeah, and I don't remember exactly what he said, but, we're so used to it, we just threw him up there. We're like, "Oh, you're in the Air Force, get up there," And then the thing he said was, he goes, "Bro, I was sitting there for so long looking around." He goes, "I looked over to my side and I saw this. All of a sudden there was this brick house and it had white windows." And I go, "What?" He goes, "Everything just started blending together." And I was like, you know what? There is something a little weird about the pines. You just sit there and stare.
Right.
You're looking down rows, and it gets a little boring at times, but But I was like, "Tristan, you need to talk to your friend, bro." I said, "He's seeing houses out in the pines that do not exist."
we might need to take him to a professional.
Yeah. So sorry, I didn't mean to bump us off topic.
For sure, man. That's funny stuff. But so how did you get into starting One Shot Outdoors, and how long ago did you start that?
Yeah, so One Shot Outdoors honestly came to mind. I was really honing in on it probably last July. I just but it took until November to really figure out a name and kind of where I wanted to go with it, because I didn't want to jump in and have this big mindset and never have a route of action. So it took me a few 3-4 months to really figure out kind of what I wanted to do with this and where I wanted to go with it. And but it took, my buddy actually started a channel as well, probably 6-7 years ago, back in high school. And, this is one of my main buddies who got me into hunting, and he got me into it and I loved it. He offered me to go film with him a couple of times. And honestly, it was just a lot of fun, getting to sit with some people and really take action, and being able to capture some of those great moments was awesome. I mean, big buck walks through, you get to see a shot on it, man. That's you don't forget those memories, and
for sure.
And it's even better when you get to record them and people's reaction. It's awesome. But that was kind of where it started. Me and him talked. I never wanted to be that kind of guy that was like, "Hey, I'm gonna force you into competition."
Yeah.
So we ended up really having a sit down conversation and figuring out how we could more collaborate than compete against each other. And that was kind of our main focus, because like I said, he started it before me. I didn't want to be that guy, but it started, November. It's growing, but maybe a little bit slower pace than I thought it'd be. But you know how that goes.
Absolutely.
No, it's tough. People think, I don't know. I've got my own opinions of people with X amount of followers.
Oh yeah.
Stevie with Mojo was just, talking about how it's not about the likes, There's some funky stuff with some people, I mean, there is no doubt about it. Some names out there that, to me, are good brands that didn't need to, what's the right word I want to use? Didn't need to fluff their numbers. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Because I think they're great anyway, but we, just like you, we're going the organic route, and it takes work.
Yeah, man, it's a grind. I mean, waking up every day and really treating this as if it's my second job. And that's really what's, like, you got to figure it out. You got to find a balance. And, for somebody that, doesn't make a whole lot of revenue and doesn't have a whole lot of following, it's all you got to put in a lot without any return, and that's where you got to find that good balance. So
yeah, that's absolutely right. It really is a second job once you get to the point that you're wanting to be serious with it, like what you're saying. And I think people can tell too when people are serious about it like that, because it just changes the way you talk about it, the way you present it, because you're passionate about it,
Right.
And you clearly are with One Shot Outdoors. And, I think that's the most important thing. It's going to carry on through.
Yeah. I mean, I say, and I, obviously whenever you first start and you look at every other person's page, you go look at these big names, you go look at Duck Commander and, Ducks, and you go look at Flare and Seek One and all these different companies. And you're like, how can I be most like them? Because they grew so fast. What can we do? And that's where in these last 6 months, I've really been able to say, hey, look, I don't have to be like them to have validation. Yeah. And that's where the number games comes into play. Like, I don't have to have 25 million followers to know that I'm validated, because I know that I have passion in my company. I have belief that it will eventually do good. It just takes time.
Well, and everybody started at zero,
Yeah.
I always say, everybody had to take that dollar bill and put it on their wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
Whether it was really $1 or you sweat that dollar, you know what I mean? But,
yeah, that's right.
But we all have to do it, and we all have to start somewhere. And good for the folks that are growing. And like Tristan said, when you're passionate about something, it just shines through, man. And
yeah, that's right.
That's, when Tristan was saying that he was having you on, I went and looked at some of your stuff, but didn't want to dig too deep, because I kind of enjoy when we have a guest that I don't know a whole bunch about, because when we get to hear that backstory of who they are, it's so much more authentic to me.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no doubt about it, dude. You're extremely passionate about what you do, and it does show. So let's just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So like I said, I mean, it all just extended from experience, and it grew, and there's nothing that beats it. Like I said a while ago, you go into the stand and you see this nice big buck, or you miss a shot on a big buck. I know one of my very first bucks I'd ever seen in the stand. It was my very first year hunting. It's the same year that I didn't bring any ammo to the stand. And I was sitting in the field. I was sitting around some cotton, and the cotton was incredibly tall at the time, probably 4 foot, almost over my head. I remember seeing nothing. It was all just cotton. And I looked up and I saw something, brushing up in the cotton, and I couldn't tell what it was. Well, I finally looked up and I see antlers, and man, it's those moments that you feel that adrenaline and the rush, and then you really understand what that passion feels like.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, and I mean, same with your first duck, or killing your first gator, or whatever it is, and that's kind of where I was like, well, let's hone in on this. Let's figure out what this could be. Now in high school and everything, I did sports, and I played football and baseball, so that took a lot of my time. But when I got to college, I worked. Obviously, I had to pay my way through school for the most part, and but it was those times where I was like, okay, let's figure out a hobby. Let's figure out something to do, and then that's where that passion really started clicking. Like I was pretty good at it. I had a love for it. I didn't mind going and getting sweaty, hanging lock-ons in the middle of the South Georgia heat. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, really, it took a little while for me to realize that I loved it. Just because how South Georgia is. Sometimes you have a good year, sometimes you don't. And that was where the passion extended from, is that I could even love it when I didn't kill a deer or when I didn't kill a duck, that I could go and sacrifice all my time and still not kill some and be in love with going out and sitting in the woods.
Heck yeah, man. And it's fun. It's, I've thought about what you said with the sports thing before, and just me personally, like, growing up hunting and stuff, and we're bow hunters originally, and we're from Illinois and stuff, and so most of my life being a bow hunter. But you're right, during high school and playing sports, you kind of lose your time during the fall.
Yeah, that's right.
And especially like fall sports, but all year really, depending on what you're playing. And I was so passionate about that. And once I lost that, I was like, man, I don't have anywhere to put this energy anymore and like passion. So then hunting really filled the void even more at that point for me personally. because it was like my thing now that sports were done. Did you kind of feel that way when like
yeah, no,
sports was done?
that's literally what happened, man. I just needed something to fill a void, to take my time. And I was that person that, man, I mean, if you weren't that kid, then obviously you're not passionate about it. But I was, I dreamed of playing D1 ball. I dreamed of going to the MLB or, I honestly, and I knew NFL was out of the line when I didn't grow past 5'10", but, but that passion to really pursue sports. And I did still play a little bit in college, but it was nothing there's nothing you could beat other than Friday Night Lights or when your parents are sitting in the stand watching every game. Like that passion's different. And that's kind of where I was when sports left. I had to fill a void, and that's where hunting took place. So
heck yeah. And it's funny, like that's the same kid I was too. And like I'm also 5'9", 5'10", so it's like same thing, bro. I was like, all right, well, that's definitely out of the question.
Well,
that's right.
Well, and here's the reality, as I think is, and you guys both know this, even though, I mean, you were close enough to each other playing in this general area to understand that, that's one of the reasons why we moved down there was so Tristan could try to play competitive ball.
Yeah.
We knew he wasn't going to be a D1 prospect, but he said, Dad, I just want the opportunity to be able to do what I love to do. And that was it, and I don't care what college it is or where it's at,
Yeah.
But the thing that you guys are, it's such a blessing, really, was the level of performance that you guys get exposed to down in this area.
Yeah.
I mean, down in that area. It's just incredible. I mean, you're playing against some of the best athletes in America. You know what I mean?
You can count, or I can count countless numbers of D1 athletes. I mean, I played on the team with a few of them where it's just like, man, hey, dude, congrats, bro. You won a national championship with Bama.
Yeah.
I played with that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and
cool,
we grew up in a town where, and I'm not saying anything bad about our town. It's just a numbers thing and where the media and the best coaching and all that stuff is at. And I mean, we had a great small town that we grew up in, but, I know of less than 5 D1 athletes,
right?
In my life, I'm 50 years old, and I saw that many go through in each sport at this high school that Tristan went to, and so it was just fun. But you guys are right, man. It does fill a big void. As you guys are sitting there talking about it, I'm thinking about after I got out of the military, and I'd missed hunting so much, but it was just like go, 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 go. I get back and my wife's like, will you just get out of here? And I'd be like, Roger that, sir. I was out, but that's a great perspective to share. Cause I think there's so many people you guys' age, or doesn't even matter on your age really, that can relate to that.
Yeah, no, of course. I think one of the biggest thing that I've learned so far, or thus far really, is passion goes beyond, the highs and the lows. I mean, it's something that you eat, breathe, and, want to think about every single minute of every single day. And that's where the love comes into play, because once you fall in love with it, you don't want to get that out of your head. And that's where, hunting really became a reality. Like it was something that I wanted to do every day. Like whether I'm sitting at the house, like working out, I love working out, but it only does so much. You know what I'm saying? It's that kind of deal. It's something that you really think about, and it's like, hey, I'm sitting on the couch for 5 minutes. Let's go fish, or let's pick up a rod and reel. Let's go hunt. Let's go do this. And that's where, honestly, I married my wife back in November as well when I started One Shot Outdoors. So she's been able to see it all through this time. And I'd say the biggest supporter I have obviously is with her, and she's been able to really say, hey, have you done this with One Shot this week, or have you done this? And that's the biggest thing you could have in something like this is the support.
That's awesome.
No doubt about it.
That's awesome stuff, man. And what I got to ask, because my birthday's in November and I'm also getting married in November. So what day was it?
Yeah. So I got married on November the 20th.
Oh, okay. So my birthday's the 28th and we're getting married on the 4th. So
yeah. Hey, it's a great month. Not too cold, not too hot.
Dude, it's I was sitting there thinking last year going into the first split, and deer season was like prime up here in North Georgia. And I'm like, I was driving, it was like 65 outside, and I was just like, man, this is the best time of year. There's NFL, college football on, and it's deer season and Thanksgiving and duck season. I'm like, this is the best 2 weeks of the year, dude. and my birthday is in those 2 weeks. So
so dude, we need to start making, I think, either November 1st or December 1st, National Hunters Month.
Yeah, I'm
Right?
telling you.
Let's all push for it,
The
bro.
South love
Look, we demand respect.
it.
Listen,
Yeah.
nobody's
Make it
gonna
a
treat us.
holiday.
Nobody gonna treat us different. I'm gonna tell you right now, we deserve just as much as respect as Sally or Jim Bob, or I don't care what color you are. I don't care what country you're from. Us hunters need some respect.
Yeah, don't call us, don't text us. You probably know where we're at. If you need us, we'll be in the woods, probably hunting over some corn. So,
Listen, Mr. President, if you gave us a month, all of a sudden your
I might vote for
supporters
Yeah.
just went through the roof, bro. But he's too dumb to do that. Sorry.
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. No, you're right. I completely agree.
Let's go, Brandon. Anyway, I'll be open to how I feel about it, and I think most hunters would agree with me. If you don't, you're the Sky Blasters. Freaking
That's
Sky
right.
Blasters, dude.
Shoot, don't tell my wife. I might have actually screwed up. November the 20th this past year. It was opening day of duck season. So big duck.
Yeah.
And it was also like primetime rut. I mean, I ended up, so the weekend before my wedding, I had been chasing one deer we called Devontae Heisentower. His height on his height on his antlers were just significantly large. I hope I didn't get him last year, but this year I'm really hoping that his brow tines grow a little bit. But we were hunting them hard. I mean, I picked up bow season last year, so that was my first season doing that, and I think I ended up counting almost 60 sits just for bow season.
Wow. That's a lot of
And
Good for you.
I mean, I was grinding, and shoot, by the time it got to, I was prepping for a wedding. It got to main rut. I was so burnt out that I just couldn't go talk myself into sitting countless days or whole days or anything like that. And so I remember there was one weekend I went on I was supposed to go Friday night, and I ended up I talked myself out of it. And I had a long day at work. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go. I don't think he's showing up. I haven't seen him since, I think it was like September. He had not popped up in daylight. And I thought we had patterned him to where he wouldn't show up. And that night he popped up on my camera. I saw him pop. I had a cellular camera, so he popped up on my phone. And before I'd even opened it, I looked at my wife. I said, look, this is going to be my buck that I'm after, and I'm not sitting there tonight. I said, this is going to show why perseverance is key. Pulled it open. It was him, and I instantly regretted it. And the next weekend, I go out there Friday night. I was like, okay, maybe he's really onto his rut, getting a good pattern. Went Friday night, nothing. Saturday morning, nothing. Well, Saturday afternoon came around. It's supposed to be my mom's birthday, and she was like, hey, can you stop hunting for one afternoon? Come have a birthday party with me. I was like, you know what? She did birth me. I guess I got to say yeah. so I ended up riding up, seeing her, and we're sitting there at supper. She has a couple people over, and I'm looking at the table, and I see my phone go off with the app that goes that showed the pictures. And I looked down, I see the picture pop up, and I looked at him. I said, hey, stop talking for a second. I put my phone up. I said, this picture right here is going to be a picture of my big buck. I just know it. And opened it up, and it was. I literally left dinner. I was so upset. I went out there the next morning hoping he was going to be out there, and I had not seen him the rest of the season.
Oh.
And November 20th came around. Like I said, it was the opening day of duck season. That's where my heart was at the time.
Mhm.
I had got so burnt out with deer hunting. I needed something different.
Sure.
Mhm.
And I got to that point, and that morning of my wedding, it's 3 a.m. and I'm prepping to go hunt some public land that we had, promising ducks. And
Wait a
get
minute.
out there
The morning of your wedding?
yeah,
Bro, you are a beast.
the morning
And
of
so
my
is it
wedding.
your wife to let you do that. Anyway,
hilarious.
sorry,
That's
didn't mean to
awesome.
interrupt. I just wanted to point that
I don't know
out.
I don't know if it was really letting me do that.
Well,
but I
that
had
was powerful.
I had
Powerful.
established that I was going duck hunting no matter what, whether it was my hunting morning or not. So,
Oh, I
but yeah,
love
that the morning of, we're sitting in the blind, and we're hunting some ducks. We didn't kill anything that morning. We had a few come over us, but I mean, we had some hunters bait up this public property and was just mowing them.
Yeah.
I have no idea what it was. You know, kudos to them for killing all the ducks, but hey, man, you also suck for killing all the ducks. So,
Right.
but anyways, we got out and I'm driving back. And I see my phone light up again with my deer camera app.
No.
I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, I pulled it open. It wasn't the buck that I had been chasing, but it was a bigger deer. And I was like, man, this is just my luck. I said, these deer are traveling. I'm not in the stand. I'm burnt out. This is what I get. So I through all that, I've realized that perseverance is key, but a good balance of trying to when to figure out and not get burnt out is when I had to kind of figure out this coming up year. I really got to maintain that. So,
yeah, I totally feel that, man. Cause I mean, every deer hunter has gone through, especially, you know, hunting public land and private land, you know, it can happen on anywhere, but, you know, we all go through these little, you know, whatever you want to call them, dry spells where, you know, you might sit 50 hours in a row, 60 hours and see one deer, see two deer. Yeah. And then you're just like, dude, what the hell? And I know every deer hunter has been to the point that you were just talking about where it's just like, man, I just cannot bring, and you're right. You got to find the balance. Cause I was there last year for sure, man. And, it's just, you know, finally the perseverance finally paid off. And, you know, it was just a spike on public land, but it, you know,
that sucker counts. You have
that's what I'm saying, man. And it meant a lot just because of the perseverance. I'm like, dude, I've been hunting all season, haven't hardly seen anything, you know. So
I'm taking a deer.
That's right.
And you can't watch the video.
Yeah, actually, he filmed it.
I filmed it. We filmed it all in 4K, and you can't watch that video and not see the passion.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
I mean, granted, I'm going to be biased because I'm the dad filming my son, you know, but for me, you know, and we all go through this as hunters, is that, you know, sometimes, like you were saying earlier, you know, sometimes it's so enjoyable to capture that through the camera and just see the success and the happiness that goes through that person.
And I think like I was actually tearing up after.
Yeah, he was.
But the thing is like, so the year before was the first year in like several years in a row that I hadn't shot a deer, and I've only shot him with my bow. So I was going for number 10, so I was frustrated coming off the year before, and we did do a lot of duck hunting and stuff, so it was kind of a trade off. And going into this year, I was like, damn, dude, it's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna get the 10th one. And he happened to be there filming with me when I got my 10th one. He was also there when I got my first one. And, you know, so just for all of that to happen, plus the frustration, it was kind of like overwhelming, even though it was a spike.
Man, yeah, the emotions flood.
Yeah. No, it is. And I, no doubt about it, you know, like I talk about it all the time. You know, the main reason why we created Zero Duck 30 is to bring the reality out. You know, it's not like turning it on the outdoor channel and it's the last night of the hunt. And you shoot a 12 and you shoot a 12 pointer, bro. Come on, not everybody. It's not the last night of the hunt. It's not. No. It's not the last day, and that's not the 12 pointer. No. All right.
Right.
It's not.
They probably had that sucker pattern out. I mean, just set up for him, you know?
Right. Or if it was even during that timeline at all, bro, because I get it, all right? Granted, it's TV and you got to make a production, and sometimes you got to skew it a little bit to make it and to give it entertainment value. But not us, all right? Because here's the toughest thing, what we do, the reality of hunting is that most of the time the reality is you don't kill anything. And I wish that I will applaud the hunter that comes out with a full-time show that everybody tunes in all the time, and they just show the reality, like true reality, and it's just people sitting there with their thumbs up their butts. I mean, and we're not killing nothing, but that's the beauty and the fun in it. You know, it is.
You got to have that balance for sure.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So what's kind of on the horizon this year for One Shot Outdoors? Are you trying to go with the YouTube type thing, or you just kind of about that.
So I think really I took last year, you know, I was really starting to get one shot under my feet. I mean, it was past the beginning of duck season where I was like, okay, let's get serious about this. But I did film all last season, really just practicing. I mean, I watched countless deer come in. I mean, more does and little spikes than anything. But when you're hunting private land, it's like, I would love to say I'd shoot anything. I won't, just because for some reason, hunter pride. There's a thing.
Yeah.
And my buddy's shooting, a 13 point over here, and I'm shooting little spikes. I just can't do it.
Right.
I ended up taking that time last year and really trying to figure out, okay, how do we make a tree accessible for filming and hunting? How do I do it myself? How do I figure out how to film, pull back a bow, shoot it and everything while filming me and the deer? You know what I'm saying? That kind of ordeal. And so really trying to figure all that out within last season and taking it this season, really expanding my equipment. And that's the biggest thing. You got to spend money before you can make money. And that's the sad reality of anything.
Yep.
But I've taken the time, really produced a lot of some GoPros now. I've gotten a nicer camera, a nicer, video cam and all that stuff. I got people who would sit with me. I got, some double lock-ons and some single lock-ons, stuff I can do with people by myself. More spaces, more places to hunt, that kind of ordeal. But as far as the platform I'm probably going to be using, it's all based off of algorithm. I would love to start posting on YouTube more, but YouTube doesn't get like the same involvement as it would on Instagram Reels right now, or TikTok, and that's just how it goes. But yeah, YouTube is kind of the route. I would love to post 20, 30-minute videos on there. That's the goal. Really this summer, this summer I had big plans to do it for a bunch of fishing and all that kind of good stuff. But you know how that goes. It just wears you down. I started a new job, and so it's kind of like I'm trying to figure that out. I've been able to work remotely as of late. So it's getting a lot easier to try to manage both. And it's giving me a lot more time to go say, hey, while I'm doing this, let me go hang a stand, or while I'm off right now, let me go figure out what I'm going to do about this land that I'm going to hunt, or let's go get permission. Let's go knock on some doors. Let's make some calls and that kind of stuff. But
yeah, no, that's exactly right, man. It's, it is a grind, and it's hard to stay focused, and it's hard having two of us, me and my dad. So I know it's gotta be hard, what you're doing. And, one thing I wanted to ask you on the, film stuff is, do you run, so like we've messed around filming some deer hunting videos, and we'll get more into that as we get bigger and can justify, spend the money on some stuff. But like right now, it's like GoPros, and like I got a Tacticam, and that's what I wanted to ask you about. Do you fool around with the Tacticam at all?
Well, so actually I haven't bought one myself. I've used one. I actually used one of my wife's cousins, as well as her. So my brother-in-law, he has one. He bought for mainly duck hunting and stuff for a shotgun. I haven't put one on a bow. But I have done a lot of research, because obviously you want the best of the best, and you want to be able to fit the best quality videos possible. I like them to an extent. I don't think it captures the full picture, and that's kind of where I'm like, I don't know, we'll see. But the GoPro doesn't do that either. Obviously it's all about the perspective that you're looking at it at. But as far as the concept of the Tacticam and what they're doing, man, phenomenal. Like to be able to attach it to something and really just film, not have to worry about it, pointing it a certain direction or sticking it on a camera arm or tripod or anything like that. I think the concept's great. Maybe the picture quality could improve a little bit or something like that. But, personally, I don't use them as of yet.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I feel about it too. Plus a couple other things. Like, now granted, I got the second generation. I think they're on like their sixth one now or whatever.
Yeah.
But, the couple things I've noticed is, I shot, I think 2 or 3 deer that I filmed with it. And, 2 things. One, you get the shake of the bow going off. Yep. And maybe a newer bow. My bow's a 2008 Matthews.
Mine's a 12. I can't say much.
Yeah. So, maybe a newer bow would have less shake to it or something, but, and improve that. But, the other thing with it is that, shoot, I completely forgot my train of thought where I was going with that Tacticam, damn it. But it shakes, and that's frustrating.
Oh, you were going...
yeah, I know where I was going to go with it. So, holding your bow arm out there. It's so tempting to, you practice, like, keep that bow arm out there, keep that bow arm out there. But, you're tempted to want to look. And the thing is if you don't move your bow arm while the deer's running off after you shoot it, you just get the impact, and then after
it's gone.
It's gone. So I've always thought in a perfect world,
most guys or gals, you drop your bow arm. It's natural to do that, bro. And it is.
In a perfect world, what I thought would be a great thing to have would be like the Tacticam, have like a film guy or like a tree arm film on you and kind of try to get the deer in it. And then, maybe if you could get one, on your bow facing you or something.
No, bro, you're thinking about it all wrong. Let me tell you where this needs to go. And you know what? I'm gonna get smoked on the idea for saying this. I don't care. We need broadhead cams.
Yeah,
bro. If they could figure that out,
if they could figure that out in a wide angle, bro. I mean, you want to talk about coming right at you?
Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
Shoot, YouTube would go nuts for all the blood.
Oh, I know, right?
Gosh, I'm talking. Your video would get taken down faster than daggum your pants on your honeymoon.
Yep, no doubt about it. But that's where I see technology going. So all you guys out there that are just dumping millions of dollars into this hunting industry, you're gonna owe me a lot of money if you don't pay me some kind of a royalty for this broadhead cam.
It's already out there in the world.
That's
it's
right.
been talked
Buck
about.
Commander comes out with the first ever broadhead cam.
Go Muzzy. No, bad to the bone. Come on now. But it's not that far-fetched of a pitched idea, you guys. I mean, the way this technology has changed. And I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole, but if we just generalize it so quickly, camo's changed, the equipment has changed, the thermocells just, the ozone, I mean, not the ozone, the ozonic stuff, the cover sense. I mean, you guys, this stuff is like crazy to me. I grew up and I had some like Vietnam looking camo on that my stepdad gave me, and a bow had one string that was over a couple pulleys, and it said go kill a deer.
No,
I
don't think it's far-fetched at all, because if you look at it from the perspective of like when you started hunting, right? If you would have, when you were even 15 years old or 20 years old, like let's say you're my age, you're 25. If somebody came up to you and said, all right, so in 15, 20 years, you're going to have an app on your phone that you can find your tree stand. It's going to have a flashlight on it. You can predict the wind and all this other stuff. And you're going to
moon phase, water hole.
You're going to get pictures texted to your phone.
I would have been like, bro, is his name George Lucas?
Yeah.
For real. I mean, like, visionary. Like, I remember my stepdad, and we're just going to talk about this. This is funny. So I remember my stepdad come to me, and a legendary bow hunter, taught thousands of people how to hunt. He's passed away now, but hunt with Fred Bear. I mean, a true legend. And Tristan was lucky enough to be able to hunt with him when we got older, and Tristan took a deer in the same land and all that. So he got to experience the whole family effect of it. But I'll tell you, I remember the first time I was in high school and some guys brought in a grunt call. All right. My stepdad's sitting there. We're on private land, the best land. It's in the Golden Triangle in Illinois. It's a 3-county area. More record books have been taken there than anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And we're hunting there, and these guys come walking in. It's just imagine like if you're at hunting camp and your buddies come walking in with a new duck call,
Right.
Wait, they come in. And I remember my stepdad turned around going, "What in the is that?" and Dwayne said, "Well, that's a grunt call." He goes, "What?" He goes, "It's a grunt call. It's what a buck does when he's chasing a doe." He goes, "Bullshit." He goes, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I've been hunting, I think it was like 50 something years at that time." And he goes, "I have never heard a deer make that sound." So he goes, "Don't be blowing that shit out here." And he goes, "All right, well, I know Dwayne and Kevin did anyway." But long story short, Jerry started having like the worst year that he'd ever had. And there was a buck that walked past him, and he thought, what the hell? I'll try that grunt sound. And so he had been practicing it with his mouth and just went, bleh. And he goes, I'll be a son of a bitch. I shot that deer 7 yards. But isn't that crazy how you can be around in a sport so deep for so long and technology changes? And I mean, a lot of you younger guys can't even imagine hunting without a grunt call.
Yeah.
All right?
Oh, man, not at all.
And so, but on the flip side of that, point to be made, my mom holds a world record. You need to listen to her sometimes, and she told me and Tristan to leave the grunt calls at home.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about that because we do it as duck hunters sometimes too. It's good to leave the duck call. It's good to leave the duck call at home.
Yeah.
That's right.
Tristan and I, the pintail video, we shot all those pintails, well, our limit, and we could have shot, and actually they ended up taking limits for the next 2 weeks out of that same blind.
Yeah.
Wow.
Without blowing a single call.
Wow.
Not blowing a single call. It's just where they wanted to be.
Yep.
Yeah, just dumping in.
Don't
man.
blow.
They're gonna choose it. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a mature buck and you've been walking through the woods for 6 years, bro, you have heard every single grunt call possible. All right.
That's right.
So if you want that big boy, you better be doing something different.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, I thought that was a cool thing to bring up about technology.
Yeah, no, that's interesting because, you know, for him, it was a grunt call. It's been phones and all this other stuff. Who knows what it's going to be for me and Bubba's generation.
It's going to be broadhead can. I'm telling you, bro.
To wrap it up. Yeah.
All right, so listen, let me get serious about this. If you're interested in investing in this idea, I'll give you my Venmo and just message me on Facebook. We'll make it happen.
But, yeah, man. So are you looking at doing any early goose hunting or teal hunting or anything this year?
Shoot, man. The goal is to do as much as possible.
Yeah.
We typically, we have a couple private hole spots that typically hold a ton of goose early season.
Nice.
We literally, we hunt it twice a year, early season and then the end of the year where we're just like tapping out.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those holes, like it's like one of your good roost holes for your woodies. And I mean, you only hunt it a couple times just to go kill a couple limits, But I mean, shoot, last year we actually went early goose season. There's probably 5 of us. Shoot, man, I tell you, I started hunting goose a couple of years ago. Goose might be harder than killing a rhino. I'm telling you, I put at least 5 shots in one of these geese and blew me away how just strong and just crazy at it they are.
Wow.
But we ended up going and like I said, there's probably 5 of us. We killed, I think, close to 20. Wow. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty good, close to 5 apiece. Obviously some people might have had a couple more. That might have been me, but
and these are honkers, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Straight Canadian geese.
Yep.
Shoot, we actually seen toward the end of the season, we had a couple lessers in there. We actually didn't get on those, but, these are just straight up honkers. And, but we kill them, we have a couple holes. We only hunt a couple times a year, but I mean, most of these properties, I mean, you got to think in Georgia, you got all these community plexes now that have all these ponds and all these geese are just going to go swarm to them. I mean, nobody can hunt them. You can't touch them here.
Yeah,
kind of difficult, but you know how that goes.
Yeah, no, I've actually listened to a DU podcast about that. I think it was in 2020. They talked about the urban waterfowl and how things have changed with that. And I mean, there's no surprise, guys and gals, if you're in the South, you're going to see it. Now, I can tell you that I saw the flip side of that whenever I hunted in Illinois. My uncle had some property. And I would see these geese fly over like clockwork. I'd be deer hunting, and I'd ask him, "Can I go out and goose hunt in the field?" And he'd be like, "No, you can't." My wife won't allow it, and I'd be like, "Oh man, it's a traditional migration route."
Pets now. I mean,
yeah. So I know those birds are true migratory now. Whether they migrated a mile or 20 miles, it's still out in the country. Now, down here in the South, for example, I have a lake out back, and it's probably a couple 100 acres, all right? And it's a community lake.
Right.
But I'm telling you, after the spring, about April, May, we get a ton of Canadians here.
Yeah.
I mean, I just sent a picture to Tristan yesterday. It was about 40 of them out there. And you can't, if I even walk down the hill, they blast, dude. I mean, they're gone.
Yeah.
They're like, nope, I'm out of here. I don't care if we're in a community or not, bro. Get out of my way. I'm out. And they'll just leave, and they'll come back after dark. But, something freaks me out a little bit about the urban Canadian goose and what it's putting in its belly. I know I have my yard treated, and I know they're down there on that zoysia down there, and they're pulling the seeds. And I know for a fact that my lawn company treated that area.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it freaks me out. And so I'm like afraid a little bit to shoot them this far south.
Yeah.
Just me personally. So I heard we can go shoot them in Alabama, and I was like, all right. I go, is there a bunch of HOAs around there? And he's like, no. And I go, all right, I'm good. Let's go smoke their ass.
That's right.
No, but there is something to be said about the urban waterfowl.
Yeah. Agreed. And shoot, as far as early teal, I've actually never killed a teal yet. I've had the opportunity to shoot a few, but just never connected on a couple. But down here, I mean, it's just like anything. I mean, the teal migrate so daggone fast.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see them in a hole one day, and the next day they're gone.
Yep. Yep.
Man, you just gotta right place, right time type stuff.
Now, do you get into dove hunt or anything like that?
Yeah. I try to do it all, anything I can. This coming up here, I got a couple of dove hunts that I'm going on with some friends that we got planned. That's kind of what I've been trying to do as of late. Just really try to book out my schedule, what it looks like, so that my wife gets a good overview, and that way we're not shooting in the dark. Really trying to get out on some public property and figure out where all these birds are honing in at. But as far as dove hunting and turkey hunting and all that, yeah, man, I try to do it all.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, man. And what you were saying about like scheduling out with your wife, Tony actually came up with this idea. Like, well, he didn't come up with the idea, but to me, he did. And
bro, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've been married. I mean, I'm still married to my high school sweetheart. So,
that's awesome.
So he was like, "All right, August 1st, what you got to do?" And I post this on TikTok, and most people agree, but there's always some asshole that's gonna be like, "Oh, I just tell her I'm
just
gonna
tell the what you gonna do, whatever, bro."
I'm
and
just gonna do it. I don't care what she says.
And you got a different every year.
Yeah,
yeah, that's right.
So you August 1st, you sit down and say, all right, this is what I want to do Huntwise. You plan it all out.
No, this is what I'm going to do.
And
I'm just kidding.
And Huntwise, and then and then you got it all figured out. Hey, this is the season dates. This is what I'm doing. And then she's like, all right, you got to be at this wedding in January or whatever for my cousin or whatever. Get all that stuff figured out, and then it's clear what you're doing, and then you can't have any arguments about it.
That's right. That's right. And it's a respectful thing to do because it is a 50-50 relationship that you're in. I mean, once you make that commitment, man, that's just the way it goes, And but I think that the wives are a lot more tolerable of understanding, what you're doing, and it's just a respect thing. Yeah,
of course. So I think, and I'll tell her this too, is like whenever, we started dating originally, man, it was, it was almost into deer season. I was spending a lot of time back and forth. I was in college in Florida, and then, obviously I was traveling back and forth to Georgia to hunt these big deer that Georgia have that nobody can find apparently. But
hey, you and I both know that the state record was taken in South Georgia. The non-typical state record, I heard.
I'm not gonna confirm it because that's just gonna mean more hunters are gonna come down here.
Oh, that's right. It was in Northwest Northwest Georgia. I'm sorry.
Yeah, actually, there's no deer killed in Georgia. It's actually legal down here. No, we right when we started dating, it was almost prime time deer season, and I was like, hey, I'm spending a lot of time out in the stand. And she made it through the first deer season and duck season, so I just knew.
That's great.
Heck yeah, man. So yeah, with the fishing stuff, man, you're a big fisherman. Like I see a lot of your stuff. You're always posting your fishing. So,
yeah.
And we were in Illinois. We fished a lot, and then we moved to Florida, and it's such a saltwater scene, and you got to have a boat to get out there and stuff.
Oh,
And
yeah.
outside of just fishing local ponds and stuff, we kind of lost like how much we used to fish. Like growing up, we fished a ton.
Mm-hmm.
And being back up here in North Georgia, thankfully we've, my parents live on a nice little pond lake thing. And, and then, we got some good lakes up here, like Lake Lanier and stuff, but look, we're trying to get out there soon and do some bass fishing on that. But,
great fishing up there.
Talk about some of your, fishing, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, it all extended, honestly, fishing's just, I loved it. Ever since I was little. I mean, I actually, like I said, my dad always worked when I was a kid, and during the summers and stuff. My mom didn't work until I was probably in high school, and used to stay at home mom. So she taught me the ropes for fishing, and then that's kind of crazy to say. Not that my dad didn't do any of that; he just never had a whole lot of time. Obviously, whenever he got the chance, he would. But man, we ended up. Fishing's just in the blood, I guess. You either love it or you hate it. There's no in between with fishing. And it's a patience game. I mean, that's all hunting though. It's all dependent on what you put in, you'll get out. And, fishing really became, bass fishing in specific, just became a big part of me, probably, I don't know, sophomore, junior year of high school. All my buddies were doing it. They were getting these nice bait casters and, these nice tackle bags and, that kind of deal. And, that's when all YouTube fishing got pretty big as well. So, I mean, you have all these nice companies going to these lakes catching 10 plus pounders. But then again, now it's kind of difficult now because now you have electronics, just like we said a while ago, that's coming into play. And we'll get on that in a second. But the passion for fishing, I mean, it's pretty simple, man. I mean, I started out just a brim fisherman, loved it, loved the thrill. I mean, it wasn't hard. I mean, you cast a worm in a local pond and you'll probably catch a bluegill. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not very difficult, but I think bass fishing, the reason I fell in love with it was because it was a challenge. I mean, you can't just cast. You're not going to make 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 times. You're not just going to cast your first cast into a pond and catch a bass.
Right.
Like, it's not going to happen like that. And so, really taking it in and learning that, I mean, I loved watching, and I still do sometimes. I love watching fishing videos on YouTube. I mean, they're interesting. I mean, there's always something new to learn. There's always a new tactic that you can do, how you work the lure, how you tie the lure. I mean, there's just so many different things that you can learn. Now with deer season, or duck or any of that, I mean, it's always a challenge to try to learn moon phase, wind, and direction of wind, where you should sit, and all that kind of good stuff. I mean, it all it all comes into play. Mother Nature is one of the biggest challenges when it comes to the outdoor community. But I mean, same with fishing. I mean, not a lot of people think about that, but because a lot of people, and it sucks to say that, but a lot of people posting it on social media are these people that are going to these stock ponds that have 12 plus pounders in there to catch. And, not many people go to lakes anymore unless they have electronics and stuff like that. I mean, nobody, and especially down here in, the Southeast, I mean, nobody goes through these unbearable summers to go try to catch fish. And that was kind of where, I knew what I could do differently than anybody else in the outdoor community right now was just go hit a boat. I mean, go hit a local pond. I mean, go sacrifice your time sitting, pouring sweating your balls off to go catch to go catch 2 fish,
Right.
And so it's difficult, but if you can get good at it, or if you can get enough spots, obviously it's fun. But if you can, the thing is like, I don't consider myself a good fisherman because I can't just go to every pond and catch a fish. But who can?
Right.
So, I mean, not everybody can just pick it up and just say, hey, that pond looks like it has fish. Let's go fish it. And I mean, a lot of times, I mean, you're going to go shut out the majority of the time you're going to go fishing.
Yep.
I mean, if you go enough, I mean, obviously you'll get better at it, but you're not going to catch a fish every single cast. And I think that patience and really time to think and time to really think things into perspective. I mean, that's just the sad reality of fishing. I mean, if you can get past the heartbreak of losing the biggest fish of your life, or going and sitting for 8 hours a day and not catch nothing, then hey, it's a great time.
You guys, I just thought of a very aligned perspective on fishing and, let's say, duck hunting. All right, so one thing I talk a lot about on our podcast, or anytime really, is about how there's professionals in different areas and different species, and you know, you go here to hunt, and one guy or gal hunts it this way, and one gal or guy hunts it that way, and it's the same species, but they do it different, and they're both successful, and you learn a lot from that, right?
Right.
As you're sitting there talking, I'm thinking about where I've been fishing, which isn't a lot, nowhere probably even close to you, and where I think there's definitely alignment there when it comes to fishing. You know, you get a guy, you go to the Etowah, let's say, and you're going trout fishing. You're going to run into somebody that knows how to smoke those trout in the Etowah River every year. You know, and you're the guy that's sitting there watching him be the first guy out with his limit, walking and holding him over his shoulder.
Yeah.
Right? That happens in different parts of, I think in fishing, it's even more specific and more different because every little water environment's different. You know, whether whether it's brackish, whether it's saltwater, whether it's freshwater, it's a farm pond, it's a lake, it's a community lake, it's an overfished lake, it's not a lake that's fished enough. It's this, it's that, it's that. Bro, it gives me ADD like so bad. And I swear if it did, like one time I went to Bass Pro to get a new frog, and after an hour and a half, I broke out in a sweat. My armpits were drenched, and I left, and I never bought a frog.
Because it's like 100 different frogs,
right?
You could buy, and you walk in there, and you're like, okay. So, and that's typical. And shoot, I mean, actually, I did a giveaway on my channel not too long ago. Tristan actually won it.
Yeah, I know. And
sent him some fishing lures.
Yeah.
Well,
I've been throwing that frog, man.
It's so difficult. I mean, I sat in the store for 30, 45 minutes trying to figure out what I was going to give him because I couldn't tell him what he was going to fish. Like, and like you were saying a while ago, I mean, every spot you're going to fish is going to be totally different. I mean, water clarity, texture of the water. I mean, all of that takes into consideration. So like I'd send him a general idea of what I would be fishing right now, you know, deep, top, mid, all that, but you never know. I mean, every pond is genuinely going to be entirely different as to what you could throw. I mean, you might be going to one pond, to a farm pond, and tossing a chatterbait and dragging it 4 foot across in the middle of the water and catch 30 fish, but you might go to a lake the next day and cast the same amount of depth of water, but the water clarity off. It could be completely different. You know, you could be fishing the bottom, or I mean, water temperature, all of that. I mean, it's just unreal. So
I think fishermen are pretty damn smart, to be honest with you, man. I mean, I do. When I watch some of this stuff, and I wish I've always fished when I can't hunt.
Yeah.
And I think there's guys that hunt when they can't fish, you know, and I love fishing. And, you know, my biggest bass I've ever caught was just under 7 pounds, you know, and up in Illinois, and that's unheard of. But the thing is that I think it's so challenging, and it's humbling to me whenever I see, especially young guys like you guys, man, that know so much, you know. And to me, I'm just like, bro, hit the ball. You know, I mean, I just want to hit the ball. You guys are throwing curveballs and hitting behind your back and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, you know. But the technology is great, but I just think it's really cool. If you have what it takes to be a consistent fisherman, I honestly think it takes more, in my opinion, than it does to hunt any animal. Because it's a very unique skill set and passion.
So I always wondered, you know, I've always wondered my whole life, like, and I saw this on TikTok, somebody was, you know, what's the difference between like an average good fisherman and like Kevin Van Dam, you know, professional fisherman. And it's like all the stuff that I hadn't even thought of before this, because I'm not like you said, put it, you know, I'm a fisher when I can't hunt. And, you know, the water clarity and what to throw in, and, you know, what top water, or, you know, all the different strategies and just way to work stuff. And that's what really, the obsession with it and knowing all of that stuff is what makes those guys pro. And that's what that guy said in that TikTok. And I'm like, damn, he's right.
No, you're right, man. I mean, it's an unlimited amount of things that you can learn, and it's always changing. I mean, one pond can be completely clear one day, and the next week, after it rains 3 times, it could be pitch black. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you know, and that's, I mean, you hear, you know, Chris, you know, Zaldane and all them, you know, types of Guggen squad type people and stuff. And I mean, it's not the fact that the videos make them famous by now. I mean, it does, but that's not what makes them good fishermen. And the electronics might help that a lot, but you know, the Panoptics and where that's going is, you know, a whole nother topic that you could get me on for a year and a half. But you know, it's like you said, I mean, it's these good fishermen are learning, you know, patterns, and fish have patterns. I mean, you know, like you said, temperature and water clarity and the depth, and I mean, all of that's just taken into consideration. This year I've been trying to get into river fishing a little bit more and trying to figure that out, just because I've never had the chance to kind of get on a boat. I had a kayak. That was my first. That's kind of where fishing extended from. I loved exercise, and kayaking was just great exercise. Might as well bring a rod. That's kind of, you know, I did that, and then now I have a little John boat, and where it's like I have a motor and I get to kind of rip around the river a few miles down and not have to paddle back upstream by no means. But you know, learning that is just crazy. You know, kudos to all the river fishermen out there. I mean, I got mad respect for you, man. I went out there for 4 hours the other day, didn't have a bite. So hey, kudos to you, dude.
No kidding. That does seem like the hardest, man. And like these, you know, we've never had experience. Maybe my dad has, but I've never had experience fishing anything outside of just like, you know, ponds and stuff. And looking at something like Lake Lanier and, you know, us wanting to do that on a duck boat, I'm like, hell, let's just go try it.
It's so intimidating, though. I mean, dude, you got all these tournaments and stuff that go out there. These people are reeling in 8, 9, 10 pounders like it's candy. I mean, like literally, you send your 4-year-old to a Halloween party and they're going to get 100 different pieces of candy. I mean, that's what it's like for these pros. But I mean, I go out there and I might catch a dink, you know, a 1/4 pound bass, and think I'm the ruler of the world.
Right. I was actually out on Lake Lanier yesterday running the boat, and you know, it's always fun running the boat out there because people always go, "What in the hell is that?"
Yeah,
you know, because they either got a yuppie boat or a bass boat.
That's right.
They don't have a surface drive. They're shooting rooster tail out the back. You know, you're like, hey, bro, here comes somebody on a personal watercraft. And you're like, huh? That thing's 17 foot long. You know what I mean? And, but I'm out there running yesterday, and I look and I see this fish floating in the water. And I'm like, I gotta go see what that is. That's a pretty big fish. And I could see it from like 100 yards away.
Wow.
And I went up to it, bro. It was about a 50-pound striper.
Wow.
Floating on the water, bro.
Blows my mind.
Now, granted, there might be some bloating there, so let's call it 40 pounds.
Yeah.
But that thing was every bit of 30 to 36 inches.
Man. Them stripers are just a different breed, man.
Huge. I mean, I could have put both of my fists in that thing's mouth and lifted it up out of the water.
I did not realize how big they get until I was watching another video the other day. I mean, that's how you learn, man. You just gotta, you watch, you study, and I do that. Like, I don't even have cable just because I watch YouTube more than I do anything.
Yeah,
so,
that's awesome.
But I mean, I was watching YouTube the other day where I was like, I saw somebody reeling like a 10-pound striper, and I was like, dude, that's a big fish. And then I saw a picture. I'm not sure if y'all saw. I'm not sure if y'all follow like Old Row or like Barstool, like on Instagram like that. But
I do. Yeah.
God, they posted a picture of a fish the other day where I was like, that striper had to be all of like 50 pounds. Like, and that blew my mind.
They're crazy, man. And I bet you've heard of them, but we know of this group because these brothers, because their dad owns like the pest or the lawn care service or
pest control service for my dad at his house. But have you heard of the Fence twins?
Yeah.
So they're, you know, they they fish Lanier a lot. And you know, we just found out about them through the pest control thing, but those guys are fascinating, man. They got some cool shit on YouTube.
Yeah, I'd have to look them up. Like, I don't think I've ever like studied their like, YouTube or anything like that. Obviously now Instagram, you got all suggested photos and stuff like that. So.
Sure. No, I was just, you know, thinking because you're saying you're watching a lot of fishing and stuff, and those guys they're cool, man. We're gonna reach out to them at some point and see if we can get them. Just because they're local guys, you know, we might do it in person, which would be kind of neat, you know. But,
yeah, for sure.
Man, I was hoping to do this one in person. I was actually I got to fly out at 3 a.m. this morning or tomorrow morning. I'm supposed to go to Colorado for a wedding and everything, and I was gonna be in Atlanta for a little for my little. So I'm a part of a sales team for my company, so I was gonna be a part up there. It's where our branch is out of in Atlanta, and you were like, "Hey, we're based pretty much out of Atlanta. I was like, oh shoot, I might just drive over and be a part of it in person. I'd be lit.
Oh
So,
man.
Oh, wow.
Well, I tell
but
you,
it ended up getting canceled. So I was like, shoot, that sucks.
well, I tell you what, man. Next time you got anything lined up, or if you just want to plan a drive up here, let's do one in person because
All right, shoot, let's do it.
that'd be cool. I mean, and hell, we could kind of try to time it where we could. I mean, he's got this pond in the backyard that you can catch 1 million small bass, but we're still trying to figure out the big boys. But maybe we can give Lanier a try too. The same
Yeah,
time.
dude, for sure.
It'd be fun.
Heck yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I got a jumbo and it fits 3, but it's tight.
Well, it's probably quieter than the freaking gator tail.
Oh, come
Yeah.
on. Don't be dissing on the Yep, for sure.
But well, heck yeah, man. Well, I think that's pretty much everything I had for the podcast.
Ooh.
Where can everybody find your stuff at? On everything.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. It's one.shot.outdoors. If you look at One Shot Outdoors, it should be up there. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. One Shot Outdoors as well, and then TikTok. I'm one.shot.outdoors. And you can find pretty much anything on there. I got a website, oneshotoutdoors.org, and shoot, if y'all wanted to order some stuff, that'd be awesome.
Heck
That'd be
yeah,
great.
yeah. And I was gonna wear your shirt today, but it was literally dirty. I was like, damn it.
Dang it.
I know, man. I was like,
That and it's hot as ball sack in Georgia. So.
Oh,
dude,
man. Ain't
it's
it?
95 every single day this week.
Oh, man.
I got done with work earlier, got out by the pool, and I was like, man, I'm just gonna, shoot the basketball around in the pool a little bit. Man, I was out there for 45 minutes and got red as a lobster. So,
Bro, Bush Light sales just went up like 40%.
For sure.
This week.
Listen, I
I
don't
mean,
doubt it, man.
right? Because, I couldn't believe it. I went out to Lake Lanier yesterday, and I actually just went and did a little checkout mission on my own,
Mhm.
and just to check out. And I was like, that's how I am. I do that sometimes. And I went out there and just took a 6-pack with me and said, once I get out there and find my own beach, I'm going to sit there and have a beer or two. And next thing you know, I drank 6 and smoked those twisty barbecue Fritos. I smoked a bag of those, and I called my wife and I go, babe, can we order some pizza? And she said, what? I said, she goes, where are you at? I said, out the lake. She goes, when you come home? I go, can we order some pizza? And she said, yeah. And I said, about an hour. And I was on my way back, but.
So do y'all hunt out there a lot?
Here in Georgia, we last year was our first year really exploring the WMAs, and we had
Up
some
here.
up here, and we had some good success. We shot a couple deer, and
Are you, not to interrupt you, Dad, but are you talking about Lanier in particular?
No, I mean,
okay.
Anywhere up
Oh,
North
gotcha.
Georgia. I know
Okay.
because obviously y'all were extending from Florida mostly. So
Yeah.
No, we've been learning. We've been out there and doing a lot of boot traffic and
Yeah.
walking the land, and
Yeah,
been
that's
up in the
right.
Chattahoochee, been to several different WMAs up there in the northeastern sector, and we've seen some good stuff. We've seen some not so good stuff. We kind of feel like we've found a spot that is manageable with other hunters, and that we all kind of just to be a little bit respectful and share that land a little bit,
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
I think we might have found a little niche there. We'll see.
Mhm.
It's where I filmed Tristan shooting that deer, and I shot a deer there, and I actually shot a unicorn, bro. Yeah.
no shot, really.
Yeah, it's my 66th or 67th bow kill, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm
Wow.
telling you what, shot it 48 yards in the woods.
Shoot,
Yep,
that's
that
darn.
boy
I'll
was
tell
out
you
there.
what.
That boy was out there, and I said, you know what? I want to kill something so bad, bro. I really did. That's how much I still love the sport, And I pulled back on that thing, and I said, if he stops and puts his nose down in that hole, I'm letting it go, because I know exactly where I'm putting that thing, and I know I could take the shot.
That's right.
And I did, and I hit him absolutely perfect, folded up in 45 yards and died.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
That's a shot of a lifetime. right
Yeah,
there.
and that was since I shot that split G2 buck in Illinois 3 years ago or whatever, that was the best deer I've killed, man. I mean, it was incredible. I loved it.
If I saw a deer at 48 yards, I'd put my bow down. I'm not even thinking about drawing back unless it's the buck of my lifetime, and that's the only time I saw him all season long.
Well-
And that's just guessing that I'm going to hit it.
Well, and I never did, you know. And before my stepdad passed away, he called me up one day and he said, Tony, what are you shooting? I said, for what? He said, your bow. And I said, I'm shooting a Pearson. And he goes, have you shot a parallel limb bow before? And I said, no. He goes, it'll change your life. I go, what do you mean? He goes, and this is a true archer. This man, hunting season or not, shot 100 arrows a day.
Wow.
Even when he could barely walk anymore, he would go out, sit on his lawn chair and sit there and shoot 100 arrows. And just that committed of a bow hunter. And an archer, and loved it that much. And I was like, all right, well, long story short, if Tristan hadn't told you, my mom was the first man or woman in the world to shoot 3 non-typical record book bucks that made the Pope and Young record book.
Yeah, it blows my mind.
Yeah, and she did that in 1990. And well, with that said, she was sponsored by Ben Pearson Archery, which was a big brand back then.
Yeah.
And so I'd never paid for a bow all my life.
Wow.
My mom would hand me down a bow and I'd use her bow. Well, the last bow I was using, I've been using that thing for 10 years probably. I shot at least 12, 15 deer with it. I don't know. And he calls and tells me that. And I was like, man, I told my wife, I go, babe, I'm going to have to buy a bow. She goes, what do you mean you're going to buy a bow? I go, look, gosh damn it. I go, I've been hunting since I was 18 years old and I've never had to buy a bow. So if I have to buy a bow, I don't want to hear anything about it. I've worked hard all my life. And I went out and bought a Halon 6 and shot that thing. And I called him within 1 week and I said, I'm shooting this bow at 40 yards like I shot all previous bows at 20. And he goes, that's why I was telling you. He said, you can't afford to not shoot a parallel limb bow. It's that much of an incredible jump in technology. Wow. And so Tristan's shooting that switchback.
Yeah.
Dude, you don't need anything.
Adrenaline DXD.
Adrenaline, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But the switchback was even before that. And that switchback, if I remember right, the Matthews switchback was the first parallel limb bow that came out with. But it doesn't matter. The point is, it's that much more of an incredible advancement in technology.
Heck yeah.
And so that's why I didn't mean to go down that long road, but that's why good. I felt comfortable taking that shot. Now, if that deer would have kept walking, I wasn't going to take that shot.
Right.
I've passed up on shots 10 yards that weren't right. Didn't give me the right angle.
Yeah, and I think that shows the maturity of the hunter too. I'll tell anybody. I've been hunting for 10 years. I've killed 2 deer, and I've seen hundreds of deer in the field or where I was sitting, and I think the maturity of the hunter is knowing when an okay shot is an okay shot. Because I know my first year, I didn't harvest anything my first year. I actually didn't harvest anything until my I believe my 4th year hunting. My very first buck, my first year came out. I missed the shot on it 2 times, actually. I was trying to freehand the 243, my first deer ever. Yep. Yeah, the adrenaline was blowing my mind. I probably couldn't have hit the daggone broadside of a barn. So, but I missed that same year. I missed 3 deer. One was, a buck, and then 2 does. One doe was probably 250 yards away, and man, when you get to that point, you get so angry and so just emotional about it that it's that first kill is so much more worth it. Like you always hear your first buck. It doesn't matter what it is, your antlers, just take it because that's your first adrenaline. That's your first buck fever. Well, I waited years to take my first buck and it was worth every bit of it because I killed this nice 8-point. And just the whole situation of it was just phenomenal. He came out. He actually came out to 2 does. I wasn't filming at the time, but he was. The 2 does got up on their hind legs and started fighting each other. It was literally a dream.
That's
and
awesome.
He's sitting there just watching them. He walks back in the woods. I called my buddy. I said, I just missed a good buck. I couldn't get a shot on him. And he said, why didn't you take it? I said, because it was to my right. I'm a right-hander. I was like, it's to my right. I'm sitting in the stand. I just didn't feel comfortable taking it. He said, you just missed a good buck. I was like, well, at least he's just surviving. You know what I mean? Like, at least I didn't take a bad shot, go injure him. He just goes and dies somewhere.
Yeah.
And he started walking down the trail a little bit later. I was upset. and I saw him. I couldn't get a shot on him for about 200 yards. And then finally, between two branches, he stopped. And I was like, this is my chance. And I took it. He dropped. I was like, wow. I was like, that's you just can't make that stuff up. And that's where y'all talking about filming hunting and really filming the reality of the emotions. I remember I called my buddy, and he was so in doubt that I killed this deer because I couldn't tell him where it went. And he was like, get down and look for blood, and then I'll come, because we were both in the stand that day. And I get down, I go look for blood. I'm in this hayfield, and I saw 2 drops of blood. I was like, I just missed this deer.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I just missed another deer. I was like, I just can't believe this. I mean, I was almost in tears. I wish, man, in those kind of moments, I wish I would have been filming. But I'm almost in tears. My buddy's like, all right, don't worry about it. I'll get down, and I'll come help, at least look. I was like, okay. And we gave it a couple hours. He got down, he came and looked. We didn't find any more blood. We found 2 drops of blood on 2 different little hayfield. And I was like, okay, well, he's dripping a little bit, but this is that anxiety and that really like emotion come to play. I mean, I was like, I injured this deer. He's going to go die. He was an older deer. I was like, yeah, I screwed up, and that's okay to say sometimes. Like you do screw up as a hunter,
man.
And you misread a situation, or you misread your shot, or you're in the duck. You're in the duck blind, and the ducks are flying overhead, and you just moved right before that, and they flare up, and all these situations. And
right.
We ended up walking about 50 more yards, and he said, Bubba, look. He said, there's a deer. And I was like, I'm going to get my gun to shoot a deer. He's like, no, he's dead. And I look on the ground, and I see antlers, and my heart I literally started crying. It was just one of those moments that you just can't make up.
Yeah, I feel it for you. That is just, you're right. And it's, dude, it's so real of you to just talk about that, because here I am, the son of this great woman. Honestly, I mean, Buckmasters called her America's best lady bow hunter, and I got to fill these shoes, right? And bro, I didn't shoot my first book deer, Pope and Young book deer, until it had to be 2006,
sounds right.
7, and I pulled Tristan out of school. I called the school and I said, I'm coming to get my boy. And I put him on the phone. He said, what? I said, I'm coming to get you. And he said, what? I said, Dad just shot the biggest deer he's ever shot. And he's like, all right. And I'm like, all right, you're going to help me blood trail it. And he's okay. Well, the great part about it was I shot it. And, sometimes you can dislodge that piece of it. It was a steep angle at 7 yards. And I hit it in the shoulder and it dislodged that part on the spine and dropped it in its tracks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Bro, and so I told him we had to go on this blood trail. We didn't have to go on any blood trail at all.
You knew exactly where that deer was.
But it was. I'm telling you guys, when I say this, I'm not lying. I cried more than 10 or 20 times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
my life. I started bow hunting when I was 10 years old, and I if it was brown as down, I think we all go through that stage as a young hunter. But then, I wanted to follow my mom's footsteps. And I got this to live up to. And I'm going to shoot me a record book buck. And no, I'm not. And no, I'm not. And no, I'm not. And no, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. And everything that you could ever dream of that went wrong, went wrong. The wind switched, I farted. I mean, I'm not kidding. But it was just anything that could go wrong went wrong, And even down to back when their peep sights first came out, I missed the biggest deer I've still seen in my entire life in any magazine, anything 15 yards below me. I missed that deer because that peep sight, when they first came out with it, the hole is really small and it sacrificed daylight. And I missed because of that. But point being is, don't be afraid as a hunter, you guys, to openly admit your failures. And don't be afraid to reach out to ask people to help you, because the reality is it's hard to hunt deer.
Yeah.
Bow or gun, Illinois, Georgia, it doesn't matter. It's not like what you're seeing on the Outdoor Channel.
And one of the greatest things about, we have 0 duck 30 and 0 buck 30, but we've been pushing 0 duck 30 hard, but at heart, growing up, both of us, being deer hunters and stuff, deer hunting, you connect on something because there's so many times you don't see anything, and there's so much effort that goes into having those just pieces go right. And when a duck comes into the spread, you're not shaking, you don't have buck fever, and just all these things, the emotional highs and lows that come with, like you were saying earlier, Bubba, going through those struggles of that first deer season or whatever, and missing deer and stuff. And I can totally relate, because in the last 5 years of my bow hunting career, I felt like I've turned a corner a little bit with just be able to handle these situations emotionally and put an ethical shot on deer. But then again, I get humbled sometimes, it always happens as a hunter. Yeah. But just the emotional ups and downs of these things, that's what makes deer hunting so unique, because we all told stories today about being upset or crying about these deer, and I would never cry over a duck, right. But it's just no, not at all. It's just, the thing is, it's that special of a thing to when it all comes together. So
hey, so real quick before we close out, I want to tell you guys this as we're talking about that. So imagine that, and imagine a world where you're learning how to bow hunt without technology, without DIY videos, with all these tools that we have to learn, and here, has somebody else went through that, and all that.
Yeah.
Well, so when my stepdad was teaching a lot of guys to hunt, it wasn't uncommon for him in a weekend to spend really his whole weekend guiding for free, just to put men and women out in the woods, and so. He told me specifically about a weekend. He was in a certain public land area in Illinois, and he said, I pretty much wasn't going to hunt that weekend because there was 14 guys. He goes, and back then he made his own portable tree stands, and we didn't use safety belts, but he went out and up there 2 days before, put all these tree stands up just so he could help these hunters out. He goes out there, and there was this guy named Luther that went hunting with him. And he'd never been bow hunting deer before. And he said, Luther happened to be the only black man in camp. But Jerry thought it was pretty cool to have a black bow hunter in camp. He's like, hey, let's get women, let's get kids, let's get everybody that says that this is weird or whatever, let's get them in the sport. Mm-hmm. And so Jerry was trying to be respectful because Luther was a little bit older. Instead of walking Luther out to the furthest spot, he wanted to drop Luther off to the closest spot to the road. So from Luther's perspective, he's treating me different because I'm black. All right? He's putting me, I'm black guy, all these white rednecks. He's going to put me over here. Luther was a lawyer, put him up in this tree stand. And here's where the story gets great. He gets up the tree stand. I ain't going to see nothing up here. And Luther's a lawyer. I'm not going to see up here. Jerry Dale put me in this tree stand. It's going to be terrible, blah, blah, blah. And then as he tells the story to everybody else, he says, and then something started to go wrong with my health. And he goes, well, what do you mean by that, Luther? He goes, well, I heard some branches break. He goes, and I turned around and I looked over my shoulder and there was a deer walking in the woods. He goes, and I thought, well, that deer's not coming over here because Jerry put me in the bad spot, And he said, so I turned back around and my heart started jumping. And he said, what do you mean your heart started jumping? He said, well, it started jumping like it was coming through my throat. He goes, okay. And he goes, what happened? He said, well, that deer walked around the back of me. He goes, and then I started to feel like I was going to throw up. And he goes, all right. He goes, but this is all because Jerry put me in this terrible tree stand, And he said, long story short, Luther got sick. He threw up. All these things happened. He shot a deer that morning. All right. Shot a deer that morning, went back to camp and starts telling Jerry this whole story about how he felt about it, and what happened. And he said, well, Luther, that happens to all of us. And he goes, it does? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, well, I don't want to do this anymore. Because the way he looked at it, probably very analytical as a lawyer, was just like, well, if it's going to make you feel like that, I don't want to do it, But I just thought that was
for us good old boys, it's like we look forward to that.
Right.
Adrenaline heart jumping moments. Like, I mean, I would love to feel sick in the deer stand again. Now it's like I get in there, I'm looking at a deer. Well, I didn't see another deer that was behind me, and all you hear is, and I was like, oh shoot! Now you're sick for another reason. Now you got deer spooked around you. Ain't nothing gonna come in.
Yeah,
God, man. It's those highs and lows, like we said earlier,
dude. And I mean, there's always something, man. Like this season, we're hunting up and here in Georgia and stuff, and it's right before dark. I was in that stretch actually. I saw 2 deer in like 50 plus hours, and I'm like, oh, that's a beautiful sunset. I'm gonna take a picture of that, post it on the Instagram. I'm not kidding, dude. I'm sitting there quiet the whole set. The time I freaking take a picture, I hear.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Dude, this doe bust me, and it was at 30 yards.
Yep.
I just didn't even see the damn thing.
Yeah.
It's like you said earlier, like you're always learning and these ups and downs, but none of it's more, to me anyway, emotionally invested than deer hunting, and that's definitely always the special part in my heart.
That's right.
Yep.
So, but heck yeah, man. Well, I think we ought to wrap this one up, but I tell you what, we need to have you on again when hunting season gets going, and we could probably talk for 4 hours about all this stuff. Make it a Joe Rogan podcast.
No, but definitely hit us up, man. You get in town anywhere. Worst case, we'll go shoot the hooch.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, man, let's do it.
Yeah, we'll do something. I mean, I honestly, I was kind of blown away. We went a couple weeks ago, and it was 52 degrees on that hooch.
So cold,
bro. It was so cold. But you get up in this area, and it's during hunting season, man. We'd love to connect. So
for sure. And if y'all are down this way, man, I'll put you on at least a doe. I can about promise you a doe. I don't know if I can promise you my big boy, but I'll promise you a doe.
Well, none of us are so good that we can guarantee the meat we're going to put in our freezer this year. And even though Tristan and I are going to Illinois and that kind of thing. It's been a couple of years since we've been there. I had a couple of years ago that it was the first year since I'd been in the military that I went deerless, so it can happen to us guys that have been doing it every year. It seems like clockwork, It's not a given. And, I might be calling you up if I need a doe, man.
That's right. Hey, you just holler at me. I'll be around.
All right.
Well, sounds good, guys. And you can find Bubba at One Shot Outdoors on everything. And you can find us at 0duck30. And if you guys wouldn't mind dropping a like and subscribing and all that good stuff, we'd appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys.
I've been southbound, I've been hellbound, riding on the midnight train.